Hello and welcome. Your online circle of light with your special host with a special circle today, Al and Jean Fike. Welcome to all.
Thank you, Brooke and Beth Mazer, for hosting us today. Welcome everyone to a special prayer today. We are going to do things a little bit differently. Instead of inviting introductions and prayer requests, we are going to dedicate today to God's plan for the salvation of humanity, the healing of our Mother Earth, and the opening up of all our spiritual gifts, our unique gifts that each one of us has been bestowed with. And we are also going to highlight the gift of direct voice, which is the physical manifestation of celestial angels in broad daylight, so that anyone present may be able to witness these manifestations, a very rare gift. And all of us are being called at this time of transition in the world. All of us are deeply, deeply needed. And so we invite your prayers that this gift may be developed on earth. So we're going to start with an opening prayer and have our silent prayer for about 40 minutes. And then after that, Al and I are going to give a little talk, and it will be followed by a question and answer. So we've extended today by about half an hour. So we will be ending on or before 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. So Deborah, our beloved singer and songwriter, will you lift us up with a song? Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
And would everyone please mute?
You are the star that shines at night, and you glow so far and wide, so all can see your melody of light. You are the dove that flies with light, and you soar so far and wide, so all can see your melody of light. You are the gold that's found in life, and you glow so far and wide, so all can see your melody outside, so all can see your melody of life. So all can see your melody, a melody of life.
Thank you, Deborah. Please join me in prayer. Oh, gracious God, we thank you for this gathering of seeking souls, dear friends from around the world. We thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us, this beautiful earth that we live in, all the gifts, uniqueness created in each one of us. And we come to you for your blessing of divine love to flow within each one of our souls. We ask that you will lift us up into your heavenly embrace, that we may be in holy communion with you, individually and collectively as a group. We ask you to bless all our loved ones, all those who are in pain and suffering, a lack of love, in desperate circumstances around this world, that there may be an end to the lack of love and justice and so many conditions that mankind has created in this world. We pray that every child in every country, in every circumstance around the world, will be touched by your love, that all our souls will be ignited, yearning and longing to be one with you, and that you will find within each one of us here an instrument for your peace in this world. We thank you for our celestial angel friends, for Jesus, Sareticam, all our guides and teachers that minister to each one of us here every day. We thank you for the blessings that we're aware of and those that we aren't aware of. May we not take things for granted. Help us to rise above the conditions of the world, to be in the world but not of the world, to be a beacon of light for one another and for everyone that we come into contact with each day. Strengthen us. Give us the gifts of discernment and wisdom. Help us to live the love that you envelop us with. And we come together today to focus on the gift of direct voice. May there be angelic manifestations in this world that will turn the thoughts and hearts of humanity towards spiritual aspirations. May every soul in the world come to know your love. We thank you. We thank you for this time together and ask you to bless us with a touch of your love. Amen.
Greetings to you, beloved souls. My name is John Wesley, and some of you know me well, where you have ascribed to the church and following which I created not so long ago. I was a Methodist and brought about the ideas of Methodism to the world. And though you may think it unusual for me to speak about your efforts and desires to bring the truth of divine love to the world, I think I am well qualified, because I too made great efforts to bring what I understood to be the truths that Jesus taught to the world. Of course, I now know that much of what I talked of was of error and great misunderstanding. My teachings certainly spoke of the moral issues of the day and tried to address the needs of the soul and its relationship with God. And so you today also have a deep desire, many of you, to bring about an understanding amongst your brothers and sisters of the need and the great benefit of establishing one's soulful relationship with the Creator, with God. If one were to look back on the history of humanity, it becomes clear that your ancestors from long ago knew God better than many of you do today. They had a deep intuitive trust of God and God's creation. Their lives were simple, and they lived their lives in a way that they felt was a dedication and honoring of God's creation. Of course, every culture and society has their flaws and their misunderstandings and their errors. I am not suggesting that those of years gone by knew the truth in all clarity and lived the truth accordingly. But indeed, they did not have the mental barriers that many in your world today have. Even those in my world in my day were more receptive to God than those of you today. And this is a sad truth, that many are estranged from God. Many do not believe, many do not feel that they need to have God in their lives. And many think of this as a great crutch and weakness, to be reliant upon God. And yet those of you who have gathered today have a deeper understanding of the benefits, the power and the blessings of prayer and establishing a deep relationship with your Creator. You have come to know the deepest and highest truth of all, and that is of God's blessing to your souls, that is His essence. For many of you, you cannot remember a time when you did not know this blessing, or you cannot fathom a time when you are not in communion with God in the way that you are, and what your lives would be like without this great blessing. You are the strong ones, the ones that have come humbly to God. the ones who have a deep yearning to seek the truth. And you, out of many millions, have come to this place of knowing. You have been receptive to God's guidance, the flow of his will in your life, so that you have come to realize this truth in all its simplicity and power and beauty and glory. Your souls have yearned. Your minds have questioned. Your desire has been manifest in your search for the truth. And you have come to understand that it is the soul that needs nurturing and love. It is the soul that is the key to all that God has to give to humanity. And so you come to ask questions as to how you may bring this truth forward to the world. And some of you have banded together to establish something you call direct voice. And we in the celestial kingdom have made great effort to assist you in this endeavor, to come together in harmony, in pure desire, and a desire for the highest, to manifest, to be an expression of your service to God, to manifest the celestial angels on earth, has been a dream long held by we in spirit, far longer than those of you on the earth plane that have considered this. And indeed, your efforts are a culmination of many of our efforts and our desire to have the truth of God's love, the truth of the spirit world and the celestial kingdom manifest upon the earth plane in a way and manner that many will understand and take note of. I work ceaselessly to bring the word of God to humanity. As flawed as that was, it was my dedication and my efforts to bring what I thought of as the truth to those who were willing to listen. And it took a great deal of effort, a great deal of time and dedication. I spoke to many, many people, some who were willing to listen and some who were not. And so you will find this in your endeavors as well. It takes a tremendous amount of effort, energy, as you would call it, to bring another to the truth. But if we can assist you by establishing this gift in the world, then, as you might well imagine, you will find your efforts easier and you will find more willing to take note of your message of truth. Yes, so much relies upon those souls on the world who are willing to dedicate themselves to the truth of God, to dedicate themselves in service to their brothers and sisters, to dedicate themselves to the awakening of their own soul. This is such a different focus from so many who live upon the earth plane. So many consumed with materialism, consumed with the gratification of their carnal desires and the pleasures of this world. And such fear that resides in your world amongst so many. To dispel these conditions is a great challenge. And it will take the blessings and guidance from God, the efforts of the celestial angels, and your efforts to turn the tide of humanity towards greater light and greater understanding of the truth. So I beseech you, my friends, to consider and to accept that what you may do in the service of the highest truth requires your absolute dedication, requires that you release any doubts or fears, requires much time and prayer, requires that you may step forth and speak the truth. And in doing so, the manifestations of which you are addressing today may come forth and touch the hearts and souls of humanity. God has a great plan. God continues to manifest this plan amongst his children, those on the earthly plane and those in the world of spirit and the celestial kingdom. It is intricate. It is beyond your imagining. It is delicate and subtle, yet powerful and infused with love. And it is for you who live in a plane and a condition that is not altogether conducive towards these more subtle understandings and experiences, to go beyond the biases and the challenges of your mind, to greet your soul in love, and to put forth the yearnings of your soul to God. This message has come down through the ages. It is simple. This highest of truth and blessings began with the teachings of Jesus and his efforts that opened the door to his love, God's love. Though indeed there was a flicker of understanding at the beginning of humanity's existence, but that was quickly lost by the desires of the first humans to walk the earth independent of God. And that desire is strong in all the peoples of this world today. This obstinance of the mind, this desire of the soul to be independent, to be free from obligation to God, to expedite the gifts that God has given each individual to the point where they are independent from the will of God and fulfilled by the will of man. continues to plague and obstruct this important truth that God loves all his children. And God desires all his children to know of his love and to partake of his love. And so each of you have come to that conclusion that indeed God does love you. And God wishes for you to partake of the great blessings that are his to give to you, that are available to each of you. No matter your circumstances, no matter your history, no matter those deeds that you have done that are not of light, God wishes for you to find the healing and forgiveness that comes with the touch of his love entering your soul and awakening the light within. You are very blessed, my friends, to know this truth. How many in all the history of the world have known this truth as clearly as you? Only the immediate followers of Jesus understood it, and it took them much time to do so. And then this truth was lost in a flurry of speculation, of intention, of desire for power and control that manipulated Jesus's wonderful message. And now it is time to reclaim this truth, my friends, for you have it clearly laid out before you. You are the blessed ones who have come to this by whatever means, whatever road you have traveled, whatever guidance God has given you. Each of you have come to this truth. And in doing so, are you meant to carry it alone and to hide it within you? A secret? No, my friends. You are meant to share this wonderful truth with joy, with a desire to uplift your brothers and sisters. And I know this is not an easy task because the conditions of your world dictate that the thinking of man at this time is contrary to the truth you have to share. My beautiful and beloved friends, be strong, be forthright, be courageous, be dedicated. As a man who knew these things and indeed dealt with the undercurrents and the cross currents of my time that resisted my message, I understand how difficult this can be, but I persisted. I continued to speak my truth. And in time, there were a number of people who followed and saw the validity of what I had to say. And so a church was born through my efforts and the efforts of those close to me. Would it not be a wonderful outcome that through your efforts and dedications, a new understanding of God, an understanding that does not require the institutions of a church, but instead a common ground that is shared and understood by the majority of humanity. Would this not change the world? Would this not bring humanity to another level of truth? would this not assist humanity in its continuous evolution towards something more refined and something closer to what God has intended for his children? You have before you many avenues and ways to communicate. You have before you a mass of humanity that is starving for spirituality and love. You have before you the legions of angels who are willing to assist you. You have before you, written and spoken, the truth that is given so that any individual may understand it. You have all that you require to start this revolution of the soul, where the soul may awaken and truly find its place in each individual as the dominant force to bring about all decisions and actions by humanity, rather than the mind ruling and controlling, and the immaturity of those emotions of the mind. It will be the wisdom of the soul and the love of the soul and those emotions that relate to the soul, and the truth that is understood by the soul, that will change the course of humanity, given the opportunity for their expression. Express your beautiful souls, my friends. Come to know yourself. Come to truly know God. Come to understand the purpose of life and the beauty of life. Come to express all that you are from the very depths of your soul to those aspects of mind that are in harmony with God's creation. Much can be accomplished by one individual, but a lot can come from the banding together of many individuals, dedicated and in unity of the truth. So I encourage you, my friends, to step forward, to be strong in love, to be strong in the wisdom of the soul, to be strong in your understanding of God's will. That the blossoming of your heart and soul may truly express the beauty of God's creation, each unique in its character and form, each beautiful in its potentials and gifts. You are given far more than you understand. And my wish is for you to continue to explore what God has truly created in you and in each individual, and to come to appreciate and love and honor that creation, to walk in the world as a channel of love, light, and truth, to be God's servants on this journey. And yes, may the manifestation of we in the celestial kingdom and the bright spirits of the spirit world come to be, so that humanity may awaken to this truth and come to know themselves a little more and set their course on the direction towards greater light, greater harmony. This is the essence of God's plan. that humanity may shift direction, may walk in light, may reconnect with their Creator. That connection that was forged when they were merely a soul. And now the journey begins towards one-ment, towards truth, towards the manifestation of all the potential that God has given to humanity by the gift of a body, a spirit body, a soul, manifest in the world. May you come to know this and understand how wonderful each of you are, and how the potentials that you carry are magnificent in their scope and in their expression. Dedicate yourselves to God, my beloved friends, and walk the world in light. And all else will follow as your soul grows in His love. Thank you for listening to me. And we are with you. We are with you in your efforts. May God bless us all as we journey forward. I am John Wesley, and I too have dedicated myself to your efforts, to our efforts, to bring greater truth to humanity. Thank you for listening to me. My love is with you. God bless you, beloved souls. God bless you. Oh, gracious and beloved God, we thank you for this time, for the blessings of our friend John Wesley, for the blessings upon our soul, for the opportunity to be together today, all the beautiful souls from all over the world. May you guide us and keep us upon the path that you intend, that we may truly be a part of your great plan for the salvation of humanity, that we may dedicate ourselves to our own salvation through your love, so that we may be examples of your truth, that we may walk in the world as your agents of truth and love. Guide us each day. May your love continue to flow into our souls. May our dedications bring fruit of what is meant to be and the great blessings that you wish to give through us. We thank you for all that you give and all that you are. And we love you. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. I see some people are coming back and others are deep in bliss. And What a magnificent message from John Wesley. The angels always bring surprises that uplift us and teach us and show us the way. Al, would you like to share what it was like to channel John Wesley now?
Well, there's somebody who came to me, as we're beginning our session, and I wasn't very familiar with them. And I thought, oh, I was expecting somebody familiar, maybe Augustine, who's a great teacher, would come and talk or something. I was certainly expecting someone to come. But this person I knew was an angel, but I didn't know. I have channeled him before, but it's not very often, and certainly a while back. So it was surprised. I said, well, who is it? And sometimes I go through my Rolodex and say, is it Augustine? Is it Tzedek M? Is it no. And so I said, okay, well, whoever it is, I guess you got to declare yourself, because here we go. Because I felt like he was getting ready to talk. So I knew it was a he. And so then he said, oh, I'm John Wesley. And so it was, what a speaker. I mean, what an orator. No wonder he convinced so many people when he walked in, I guess it was in England, where he developed the faith of Methodism and all that. So you could tell, I mean, this guy's used to, stirring people to action, so that's what he did. And I thought it was a lovely message. It's, if you know me, I'm not a big orator. I don't have those gifts like so many who have influenced the world has had. So again, to me, it proves that this is not me, it's somebody else. And I'm glad to be a channel in that way. It was great.
I love how the angels surprise us beyond our expectations. And so for me, I had planned a few remarks, and I was going to read excerpts of a wonderful message from Jesus we just received on May the 5th. But wow, after John Wesley,
He covered all the bases.
he did, and much more eloquently with such great power than I had planned to do. So I am very humbled. And Al and I wanted to give people that are interested kind of an update about this gift of direct voice and the efforts that are being made around the world. So maybe I'll just fill in a few of those details. Al can speak, and then we'll open it to questions and just see where we go. So Al and I have been aware of this gift since the 80s, the 1980s. And there was a group of very dedicated people in the Vancouver area that prayed for this gift in the 1970s, and a very extensive collection of messages from the angels about the development of this gift is located on our website. So if anyone is interested in that, we can send you the links. And then just over 4 years ago, Al and I and a group of 5 other people, we called ourselves the Circle of 7, were called and guided from Namibia and Australia and where else? More locally. And we are still praying together as a Circle of 7 every week. And 2 of those members have started up another development circle in Queensland or New South Wales Australia. And more recently, a group of 12 people, including Al and I, are coming together for the month of September here in Gibsons. And I see some of you on the screen, beloved, so give a wave. And we look forward to having you here in a couple of weeks. So this gift, to be called, requires a deep, deep commitment. It's a lifetime commitment. It is a privilege and a blessing to be called, and it takes some financial resources, certainly time away from work and family, and we're coming together to pray together 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening, for an hour and a half for each of those sessions. And for 21 days without a break. This is our primary sacred focus. And so I think now I will turn it over to Al, and you can say a few words and then we'll open it up for questions.
Sure. Well, I think the great dilemma for those of us who have been well along this divine path is how to bring people to the truth of divine love. It's a difficult task, as John Wesley talked about when he tried to bring his message, how dedicated he had to be and how much effort it took. So this is what got me thinking about it years ago. In fact, it wasn't just the 80s, but in the 70s, I thought about this because I'd heard about the efforts of Alec Gaunt, who is Darlene's father-in-law, actually, and his group to bring manifestation. They were working in a dark room and they were trying to do ectoplasmic manifestation in the dark room, and hopefully for that to progress so that people could experience the angels more or less in the flesh, rather than, the trying to have psychic ability to see and hear and all of that, but to bring it closer to the earth plane. And they made some progress, but it was difficult for them too. And as it is for anyone who has attempted to manifest this gift, it does take a lot of preparation, a lot of time and effort, and not only in your thoughts, but in your prayers, and and this yearning to do something like this. And this, the celestial angels have always said, this is a very challenging task you've put yourself upon, and we won't find it easy as well in the celestial kingdom. I mean, how far are they advanced? And even they say this is a difficult task. So we're shooting for the stars, basically, with this effort of direct voice. But I think, as John Wesley alluded to, he said, this is part of a plan, and we've been wanting this for a long time. So it's not like, it's our ego saying we're going to do this. It is guidance. And some of you have felt that you want to be a part of this. Some of you may feel that in the future you want to be a part of this, and that could very well be, if you have that yearning, that longing to be a part of something like that, then you may well be sometime in the future, because God is not going to just seed one group. God will seed many groups, because that's the way God operates. I mean, you look at nature, look at plants, it doesn't throw out one seed, it throws out a million of them, to see which ones they're going to take. And so we're one of the seedlings, and well, as Sheen said, we have been part of a group already, and we've had the experience of it. It's a wonderful experience. It's absolutely amazing when you pray together for this gift. The power of the energy, the power of what our spirit guides bring into the group, into the circle to develop us is astounding. And it's a little different from a prayer for divine love, although that's always included and that's always a part of what we do. But this is kind of going beyond and dealing, I think, quite a bit with your spirit body and energies and movements of energies, and even to the point of affecting your physicality, your organs, and every part of you is affected by this experience of sitting for direct voice, as we call it. It's not really direct voice, it's actually photoplasmic manifestation, I think is the correct word for it. Because now we've gone with the first group, the group of 7, spirit changed course. We did start with ectoplasmic, and then they said we've changed our approach, because I guess they were saying it wasn't going to work. And they said we're going to do photoplasmic manifestation, which means that spirit will be visible in the daylight. And they said it actually requires less of your physicality than it does for ectoplasmic. I mean, if they're doing ectoplasmic, they're taking substances actually out of every cell of your body, so, and transmuting them so that they're visible. They become translucent. And with photoplasmic, they're using very direct energies, and they're adding something so that it's not quite as substantial, but it's still visible. So, and also when they speak, they'll be heard. So it's going to be exciting. If we actually do manifest this, I think, you know, all your questions about how we're going to reach people may be answered because there will certainly be a lot of interest if we can actually manifest this at will, which again, that's another challenge, you know, because it requires the alignment of many different elements for this to actually happen. So, and the primary element is divine love in your soul. And that's got to be a very active agent within you in order to do this.
I'd like to add that the Circle of 7, we sat together 4 years ago for 2 months intensively. And then the following year, we came together for 1 month, another week in Hawaii for a refresher, and then ongoing online and simultaneous prayers ever since then. So we've been told there's 5 volumes of messages that are also available online. But the Circle of 7 was told that each one of us has been seeded with the gift, which is the potential, depending on what Al has just said, our soul progression and the conditions of the world. This gift is going to be powerful when it manifests, and it does have the potential to change the world. In a message from Jesus, he said that the world will be shocked and that the manifestations will be available online. So, you know, I keep hoping that the manifestations will happen on one of our online circles of light when all of us are praying together. All of us have such a deep commitment to being used as channels, and we need everyone's prayers to bring this powerful gift through.
Yeah, and there's also a plan, as Wesley alluded to, this, you know, what's called the God's plan for the salvation of humanity. So I think this fits in with the plan. I think, you know, we'll be asked to go to different places. We might even be asked to visit different leaders of the world. And this will happen in conjunction with earth changes and the crises that will continue to build upon the earth. So that will also pique people's interest because I want to know what's happening. And if there's a source kind of exotic, like direct voice, I think people will be quite intrigued by it. Of course, there will be people who think we're of the devil and all of that. It's a pretty varied world. So, there'll be opposition, no doubt about that. But all in all, I think those who feel the calling to do this, and I definitely felt the calling years ago. I actually saw it. I had an experience with Jesus, and he showed me a vision of me manifesting direct, or this ectoplasm or photoplasmic manifestation of him in a church. And so that has fueled my interest ever since. And that happened to me, I think, 2 years into my commitment and discovery of divine love. So it's a really intriguing part of this. It's not meant to overshadow the efforts to receive divine love or these prayer circles for divine love or anything like that. I think this is a very important part of our work. But this other thing is exciting and intriguing.
Yes, it is lofty, but each one of us is being called in our own unique way. We each have our own gifts, and I think the most important thing we can do is just pray every day to be used as a channel, an instrument for God, wherever you are, your daily life. So how about we open it up to questions? Would anyone like to step up and ask the first question?
Of course, it's Carol.
Terry.
It's Carol.
Oh, Carol.
No,
All right. Carol and then Terry. Okay.
Well, the first thing is I just have to say I am like beaming for John Wesley because he's the father of my faith tradition. And, he was known, Alan, you're very lucky because he was known to go on for 2-3 hours.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So he had quite an oratory gift. And so it is just so incredible that he presented this afternoon. I'm just over the moon for that. My question is, I listened to Matthew's message from the other day, and I would actually just like you to sort of comment on how you felt about that, because it was not, to me, it almost felt like it was a something close to almost like a reprimand or not a great report card kind of thing, right? So I just would like to hear what your thoughts were, because to me it was That's my question.
Well, we're all human, and he did say that. He said, I understand that you're human, that we don't expect perfection, blah blah blah. We're not. But we do want to remind you of what is required here with direct voice, this purity of thought, this purity of intention, and to rise above the human condition at all times. This is what's going to bring success. So he's just laying the framework for what is required. And that's why, Wesley said again, it requires dedication, it requires sacrifice. It's not a casual venture at all. And those of you who feel kind of left out and whatnot, search your heart. Do you really feel like you can make that commitment, come here to Gibson's for 3 weeks? And that's just the beginning of it. And all the other stuff that's going to come with it in order to make it happen, plus the responsibility of now conducting your life in a way that is in greater harmony with God's laws. I know we all have that intention, but this is not just intention. This has got to happen. So, and I find it challenging. I'm human. I've got judgments and things. Things come out of my mouth that even I'm surprised at how out of harmony it is, things like that. So, it didn't surprise me. The message didn't surprise me. And believe me, if you've ever heard Augustine reprimanding you, what he said was nothing. But, the angels will speak the truth. even if it means it's a difficult truth. You know, they are loving. They're absolutely always loving. But loving doesn't mean that we're going to pat you on the head and say we love you and everything's great all the time. You know, they want to encourage us, obviously. So
He
I
did
was so
say,
excited.
sorry,
ahead.
go on. I was just going to say, he did say you don't normally hear angels say this, didn't he? In
Yeah.
somewhere in that. And I thought, oh, I'd had a very bad day that day. And I'd said some things, Al, like you, that I regretted. And I really felt that message so personally, because I thought, this is for me today.
Wow.
For all of
We
us.
don't get it very often. I
Yeah.
sure was excited for you, Carol, when John Wesley came through. I thought of you right away, and
And I
Bill
was sorry that Bill
Fraze and-
Fraze wasn't here. I think
Oh,
he would have been excited.
he'll hear
Exactly.
the
And I will
replay.
Yeah.
tell you, I can't wait to share that with Paul, because you
And
gotta
Oh.
Charlene.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Charlene
tell
can
him
do-
all about that. You gotta know that.
Okay, next is
Terry.
Terry, and then Arlene. Terry?
Aaron is a person who has an important contribution to make at this point.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Just a tiny bit of a story that needs to be told about my own connection with John Wesley and my family's connection. And this morning at breakfast, I was sharing that a story of my grandparents, my mother's father, who was Wesson Miller, came from a many generation of Wesson Gage Millers, who were circuit preachers for the Methodist Church, Wesleyan Methodist Church in the US. And so John Wesley, who brought the Methodist Church then into the US, and my family for generations and generations were preachers. And my great-grandfather was a colleague who helped create the Wesleyan universities in northeastern US. And so when John came through, my great-grandfather stood here with me
Oh,
with hand on shoulder.
Mm.
And it's just been a beautiful energy and a beautiful experience to feel so directly connected to this message this morning. So I do thank you. It's very much a part of who I am.
oh,
I
Karen.
think you're Methodist royalty then.
Yes, yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. So happy for your
That's
experience.
lovely. That brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Perhaps he'll help me with words as I need to share this message forward as well.
I'm
Maybe.
sure he will. And Arlene, another Methodist in your heritage.
Yes, I have a little bit, and maybe Karen and I are even related to some extent. John Wesley did come to the U.S. and he was a circuit rider. And when he was in England and when he came, Francis Asbury is in my father's family, and he did a lot of the circuit riding with John Wesley. So I'm sure, Karen, back then they were at least friends.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, I suspect they were together in all of this, and I'll look up the name. I have some historical information that has group names. I will look for the name. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Okay, do we have questions pertaining to DV from people?
Arto from Estonia.
Yeah, well, I have a question about this whole endeavor of getting these celestial angels visible in broad daylight. Like, how are we going to make this happen? Are we going to create a event like today? We gather in the same way and we pray and ask for some kind of manifestation, or how do we exactly go about it?
It's up to God, Arto. We, need to be humble, prepared in divine love to the very best of our ability. And we've received so much guidance, hundreds of messages. So to apply those in our lives and just live each day to the fullest and be open. So we're hoping that it'll come through on Zoom, because Jesus said that is possible. And also, at the First United Spiritualist Church, where Al is the president and several people on the screen are board members in this area, Vancouver area. We are really hoping that there will be manifestations there at the church. Do you want to add?
I think the phrase "it will happen when you least expect it"
Yeah.
would be. So I think we can certainly pray, and we have prayed for this, and we've almost come to the point of expecting it at some point when we were, as a group of 7, actually at the church, I think. But it didn't happen. So our ideas, our egos, our mindful considerations as to how and when and why and all of that, I think you might as well just throw it out the window and say, you know, I have faith it will happen, and it'll happen at the right time. My theory is it's going to happen when the you-know-what hits the fan and everything is in chaos, and then, you know, the power of it is going to manifest. You know, otherwise it becomes a little stagey, a little, probably a little too much in sync with our own kind of mindful ambitions about things. And I don't think that has any place in God's plan. I think it's an act of faith and an act of courage to just go out there to do, you know, we have to get out and speak. We have to get out and share this truth. That's certainly step 1. And then have faith that whatever is meant to be said and whatever happens and manifests will do so. But to say it's going to be this and it's going to be that, and I want this and I want that, I don't think so. I don't think it's going to work that way.
And
Understandable.
Arto, when I think about God's perfect timing, and we can't see all the variables or the circumstances that will make it happen at the right time, I'm reminded, we've been told repeatedly, there will be a lot of backlash, intellectual, mindful responses that try to disprove it. And, you know, we don't want to do anything that's going to encourage negativity. We just want it to come in the highest, the greatest light possible. Great question. Thank you. Who's next?
Can I say something?
Yes, Davina in the UK.
Contrary to going back to what Carol said about Matthew's message, when I listened to that, I found it very insightful for me. It seemed to open my soul to a lot of very important information that I could use on my own journey, for which we spoke about before, the other, yesterday or today. And when, obviously when you look back on the video, you'll see, but listening to John's message resonated with my soul quite deeply, because I broke down crying, trying to stop myself crying because I'm on video, but it resonated with me. So there's obviously something going on, with me, I believe. I'm just hoping that I can find out what it is. And obviously from our conversation earlier, I'd like to ask if there's anything that I can personally do that's different to what I'm already doing that could help aid in what I'm trying to do with my gifts at all, or...
Our prayers are with you, Davina.
I think that's a day-by-day thing, Davina, and you'll get your guidance. You're very capable of getting guidance. So, it's, I know that place that you're in, and that is, look, I'm feeling all this stuff. I'm having all these experiences. I know the truth now, and let's get going.
Yeah.
And I had that when I was like 23, and Augustine says, well, my son, there will be many trials and tribulations before you actually manifest your gifts and do what you're meant to do in the world. And so true. I mean, I'm now 68. I was like 23 back then. So
yeah. I mean, I have
and there were many trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because a lot of the time, when I'm out
Yeah.
in community and stuff, like Jesus, I guess, which keeps coming into my head all the time, to try and see humanity and be with humanity more like Jesus did when he walked the earth. And you're going to hit a lot of negativity because darkness doesn't like the light, you know,
Yep.
and you come into such bang, you know, and it's just so much hatred and everything. And it's just, yeah, and that's when I pray even more, you know, for God's divine love and the angels to be with me and surround me in light and everything. So yeah, okay.
Just a simple prayer every day. Dear God, use me as your instrument. Guide me this day.
That's the
Show
most
me the
powerful.
I
way
do, yeah,
that is
I
your
do, as you
will.
know, I do.
Yeah.
And believe me, I've done
Okay.
that prayer and I've been so frustrated because when I'm out at work, I couldn't get my work done because I had so many people coming up to me and connecting with me. You know, I thought, oh, I better be careful about that prayer.
I wanted to mention that the message from Matthew that Davina and Carol are referring to was only received yesterday, so it has not yet been transcribed. If anybody is interested, we post the recordings like John Wesley's message that just came through. I will post that in our WhatsApp Lightbringers prayer chat line after this session is over. And Matthew's message is already there. It takes a while for our incredible
process.
It's transcribed,
volunteers.
Jeannie. I
It
transcribed
is
it last night.
transcribed.
You've
Okay.
transcribed. Oh, we're waiting for
Okay,
Al
I'll-
now to
I'll-
check it.
I'll
Okay.
look at it today and
Yeah.
see if I can get it to edited and sent out.
Yeah. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you to everybody who is transcribing those messages. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think the DV will usurp channeling messages, you know, because to manifest, I don't think Jesus would be able to manifest for an hour to give an hour-long dissertation or lesson. I mean, maybe it's possible. I never say never, but you know, it's also important that the mediums in the world are also doing their work because that's all part of it. I mean, the direct voice is just one aspect of the whole shebang that's in the works here. So, you know, it will carry on as usual.
Well, my prayers go out to everybody in the direct voice group, and I pray that everything goes according to plan, and you know, for everybody.
Thank you, Davina.
Thank
Did
you.
you want to say something, Darlene?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to say that there's no happenstance here. Everyone here was brought by God, everyone. And everyone is a part of this, as God is wanting us to band together as light workers. And God is no respecter of persons. God loves me no more than he loves you. And Jesus said that just recently. God loves me no more than he loves you. And when the circle of seven was involved, we would pray on the, you know, simultaneously as batteries, you know, my sister and I, Dorothy, because we were attuned to this mission and really wanted to be helpful and be a part of it. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it now in a greater way, but it's an interesting thing that it does go back in my family. My husband was able to transcribe one of their tapes. They had like a reel-to-reel old tape system, and my husband's technically very capable of taking that format onto a tape. Anyway, I was with my two little kids, toddlers at that time, and John put that tape on to hear one of these circles. And my gosh, holy, it was like a time capsule. It just was, I actually fell asleep, but it wasn't falling asleep. It was like going into this deep place, and my soul was just thrilled, you know, to hear hear the angels. So this is why I just wanted to say that, you know, God sees each one of us, and we're all very, very important in the success of this work. We are banding together with many angels. They're saying that the angels, the celestial kingdom is behind this, the high spirit, the bright spirits, everyone wants to see this breakthrough happen on earth, this connection between heaven and earth. And so I just wanted to impart that as humbly as we all go forward, because that's what this is about. It's the soul connection with God. But God has chosen you, just like God has chosen me. That you are here, we are here together as one. And if we can be this powerful force with our angels and pray together and simultaneously work together, because it's going to take a great deal of power. And it's so darn hard on earth, as we all know. The conditions of earth are very difficult for all of us. And it stretches into our families and our friends. We know the pain and the suffering. We see it on the news. We see how, with a small world with the internet, we see the suffering. So I'm just wanting to share that thought that we are all together.
Thank you, Darlene. Well said.
Thank you.
And I will be posting throughout the month of September. I will be posting those times when we were praying for the development of direct voice and in WhatsApp. So please pray along with us. Thank you so much for that, Darlene. We probably have time for another question, and then Jane, and then Deborah's going to take us out on a song. Jane.
I think this is more a reflection than a question, but about the timing of these manifestations and why didn't it happen before? And I think it's easier in hindsight to see why it didn't happen. Imagining at the church as you were speaking with the group of 7, would you have been ready for the attention at that time and the questions that this would generate and the interest?
And the backlash.
It's going to be big, right? Especially if it gets onto the internet, and the amount of people contacting you already, I imagine, is overwhelming. But you're going to have to be so clear within yourselves, so the whole group, really, whoever is involved, really ready to completely be out of the closet spiritually and be able to stand up and say what this is with no fear. And so my prayers for you in that, and for all who are doing different things in the Divine Love movement, that we will be ready when the time comes where this is really needed on earth, that we're just ready to stand up fearlessly, no matter what anybody else thinks about it and calls us, and just do God's work.
Oh, Jane, thank you for your insights.
And Christian has something to say.
Christian.
You're muted, Christian.
My question is quite simple. Can we compare somehow the physical voice phenomena, if you want, with various appearance of Maria, for example, in France? Is this something similar, or is it something completely different? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's similar. I mean, the mechanics are the same, right? So
what's the comparison between?
Well, I don't know who Marianne is. Is that who you're?
Yeah, but in Maria, Mary, Jesus
Mary with
Mary,
the children
appears in France, in 1917.
Yeah. I think that was a form of manifestation, although I think only once people saw her, or maybe it was in Medjugorje, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting my things mixed up. But
sorry, in Lourdes.
In Lourdes. Okay. Yeah, I think you're on the right track there. I think it's similar, but this is something we can travel around with. It's not going to be something at one particular place, and will be different spirits, not just Mary. So
of course.
Well, not just, I mean, it'd be wonderful if Mary. I got to watch my words here, but yeah, it'll be different in terms of how it's done, but in terms of the effect, I think it will have a similar effect on people. And of course, the message will be different because, you know, a lot of the messages that came through there were very heavily influenced by Catholicism. So,
yeah. But I think, Christian, you're right. That is probably the closest example of what we're trying to accomplish that's happened in the world. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Any closing remarks, dear?
oh, just I'm glad to see so many faces here. I know this is an intriguing topic, and I hope we've answered some of your queries about it, and I hope to enlist your support of what we're doing. And as Darlene pointed out, you know, pray with us. Yeah, you know, if you do have a moment and it works out for you in your day, pray with us when we're praying, because we need all the support and help we can get. And I think all of you as batteries for this are just as important as all the others that are coming.
And you'll receive
So-
the benefits as well. So those who've been praying with us in the past have all received wonderful spiritual blessings during their simultaneous prayers. And any messages that come through, I will be posting in WhatsApp, and Karen and others will be transcribing them. And we want to share these messages with the world as to the best of our ability.
Yeah. It's interesting that the people that were praying along with us in the most consistent way are the ones now that are coming together to be seated for the gift. So I think that's almost a prerequisite that, you know, if you're willing to dedicate your time in that way, then the next step would be to come and be a part of it. You know, obviously some of you it's not practical, but for many of you, I think it could be. So, and we have some stuff on the chat. So
I got it, dear.
do you?
Yep.
All right.
So, Deborah, will you take us all out on a song? And we thank you, each and every one of you, for coming and adding your prayerful support. God bless you on your own unique spiritual journeys. God bless you. Thank you.
Sorry
Thank you very much. all of
sorry
you.
to interrupt you, but Brian Holmes was trying to say something. Brian?
Oh, well, it wasn't really important. I was just wondering if Jean and Al had ever heard of Leslie Flint.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I've read his book. Yeah.
We need another show, Brian.
Yeah, now that was ectoplasmic manifestation.
Yeah.
That he demonstrated. He was incredible with that, you know.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of his recordings, and some of them are pretty impactful.
He's a beautiful soul. What he did. Yeah. Thank you
I'd
for
like to
raising
make one more
that.
comment. In conclusion, I want to reiterate what Beth in Pittsburgh has put in our chat room, that she will be uploading today's presentation to the DLSF YouTube channel. And if you were on camera with a question or comment and do not want to be included in the YouTube version of this, please send Beth a private message. Thank you. And now, Deborah Love.
Thanks, Brooke.
Came to me when I needed you most. You came to me and helped me feel your love close. You came to me in my darkest night.
Thank you, Deborah. God bless you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you for
Jean,
coming,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless you.